Ephesians 6:10. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the full armor of God so that you'll be able to withstand firm against the schemes of the devil. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the full armor of God so that you'll be able to resist in the evil day, having done everything to stand firm. Stand firm, therefore, having girded your loins with truth, and having put on the breastplate of righteousness, having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. In addition to all, taking up the shield of faith, with which you will be able to extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. With all prayer and petition, pray at all times in the Spirit, and with this in view, be on alert with all presence and petition for all the saints. And he goes on to request prayers for himself. And that will be our main text. We will not cover every single point in that text, but that'll be our primary text for our lesson. So you got to put on some strength. You got to put on some armor, because life is rough. Life will beat you up. And life will beat you up whether you're a sinner or saint. It doesn't pick who it chooses, who it beats up. Everybody goes through a rough time. The only question is, do you want to go through your rough times with your armor on, or would you rather go through the rough times naked? That's basically what it boils down to. I'm going to highly suggest that you go through the rough times with your armor on. The source of strength that we have is not ourselves. I would use Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Paul says, finally be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. He is the one who is equipping us. He is making us ready to get out on the battlefield of life and have our best time. So Paul tells us we've got to prepare. We've got to anticipate. You've got to be looking ahead. And absolutely, in so many ways, you need to be anticipating the future inevitabilities as they are coming one way or the other. That's where a lot of people mess up. Quick example, a lot of young people can't imagine themselves getting old. A lot of old people wonder what in the world happened. Seems like this yesterday, I was 16. You gotta prepare. This is the way life works. So the armor is a gift from God. God equips us. It is a blessing. It is just our advantage over everything. Satan, he has nothing he can do against us if we keep our armor on and keep it together. In fact, James would tell us over in James 4:7-8 that if we resist the devil, he will flee from us. So what I want in my life, and I suppose you do, is that ability to make Satan turn tail and run. And God gives us exactly that here in Ephesians 6:10-18. The ability, the equipment we need to cause Satan to turn tail and run, which is a pretty good thing. So what the armor is going to give us is our strength. It is going to give us safety. It is going to give us confidence. We will be able to get out on the battlefield of life. It may not always go exactly like we want it to go. That would be a rather foolish expectation. But we can get out on the battlefield of life and we can win battle after battle after battle. And here's the main thing. Even though we don't win every single battle that comes our way, we can stand at the end of the conflict and know we have won the war. And that's what I want. I want to know that when I stand at the end, I have won the war. So the trick here is not to treat your armor as a spare tire. Spare tires are funny things. Most of us men have opened up the trunk to get the spare tire and found that it was just as flat as the one we wanted to change. Because we stuck it in the trunk, we forgot about it, didn't maintain it, didn't care for it, equip it, or whatever. And then when we needed it, we were in trouble. Well, a lot of people treat their armor that way. I want to be a soldier of Christ. I want to walk the straight and narrow. I want to carry my cross. And then they take their armor and they stick it in the trunk, stick it in the closet. And they never practice with it, never wear it, never learn how to maneuver in it. And then when life hits and hits hard, they feel like God cheated them somehow or another. And the reality is they cheated themselves. But most of us being human would not admit that we cheated ourselves. We like to blame anybody, anything, anywhere else other than the one in the mirror. So what we're going to do is we're going to begin with gratitude, and we're going to have readiness, and we're going to walk through some of these. It is God's provision. It is our responsibility to put it on. Verse 11, put on the full armor of God so that you will be able to stand firm against the schemes of the devil. That's what we have to do. If I just leave it hanging in the closet, well, it's cute hanging in the closet, but what's it going to do in the closet? It's not doing me any good in the closet when I'm out and about living the rest of my life in other places. Now, if you're one of those people who hide in the closet all day, maybe that'll work for you. Otherwise, you've got to put it on and you've got to be sincere about it. Good intentions aren't going to get you through the process. Now, if good intentions did get us through the process, we would all be living the life of Riley or top of the mountain, cloud nine, whatever little analogy or metaphor you want. We would have it made, because I don't know many people that do not have good intentions. Most people I know have good intentions. One of these days one of these days I'll, so on and so forth. Problem is, one of these days never comes. They used to tease me when I was a kid, tomorrow I'm going to buy you a car. I'm like, all right. Tomorrow it'd come, and I'd say, where's my car? And they said, well, I'm going to buy it tomorrow. Get it? Tomorrow. Just never ever gets here. Good intentions may be a necessary starting point, but you just can't camp out there. And the neat thing here is you don't have to invent the armor. You don't have to sit down and figure out, okay, what would be a good armor for this spiritual battle? What do I need to be putting on, and how does it need to go together, and what's really the most important piece? God in His infinite wisdom has already done that part for us. And then He just handed it to us. All we got to do is put it on. Now, I know that's a little tougher than what it sounds, because like when it says take the helmet of salvation, most of us think about knowledge and education. That would take you back to 2 Timothy 2:15, study or be diligent to show yourself approved to God. A workman need not be ashamed, but rightly dividing the word of truth. And so there's a lot of work there. David said, thy word I've hidden in my heart. That takes some work. That takes some time. That takes some dedication. What that actually means is you're going to have to say no to some other things. Now, if you manage it right, you can do a whole lot of things in life. I think that most of us in this modern time, with all the conveniences and technologies that we have, we are probably living 10 times the life our great-great-grandparents ever lived. My grandma used to tell me stories about riding on the wagon into town, so on and so forth. Of course, as a kid, I was just memorized by that. Granddad actually had an old wooden wagon in his front yard to remind us grandkids what life used to be like. Of course, you know, kids, we thought, woo, play toy. And we were all over it as a play toy. But now, what used to be an all-day trip to Little Rock, depending on how fast you drive, is 45 minutes to an hour. If you're with me, count an hour, it's going to be a while. But, you know, you can get there faster. You can get there back. You can do all kinds of stuff in a flash now. And yet, a lot of folks just won't put it on. They just won't wear it. And they're out on the battlefield, and it's a daily battlefield. You're out there every single day. When you wake up in the morning, that's when the battle begins. You know the little thing, it's meant to be funny. Person says, Lord, help me so far today. I haven't said a bad word. I haven't had a bad thought. I haven't said anything cranky or insulting anybody. But just in a minute, I got to get out of bed. And that's when the trouble starts. When we have to get out of bed and start dealing with people. What I'm trying to say is the battlefield is not something really extreme. I think one of the mistakes that we kind of make is we think the battlefield is, let me use Bruce Reeves as an example. Bruce Reeves is an excellent debater, and he loves to get into that arena and debate, and he's one of the last men I would ever want to debate against. And we look at that, and that is a battlefield. I don't mean to diminish that at all. And we go, wow, you better be prepared. And it takes an entire team to prepare for those events. It's not a little thing. So that is the battlefield. But when you sit across from your mate of X number of years, or you're dealing with a child that's not doing what you want, or you're at work dealing with coworkers who definitely have their own values, that's the battlefield too. The thing is, as we talk about Bruce and debates, that's not once a year. Those events take 3 years to set up for. The battlefield you and I fight is literally every day, in one way or the other. It's the cashier that's in a snitty mood and treats you like you're in her way. It's the guy that jumps his turn at the four-way stop or even at the red light. Nowadays, you better look both ways even though you've got the green light, right? It's just all those little things where the devil tries to sneak in little ways. But since it is daily life, we go, oh, this is just daily life. Why do I need my armor? I need my armor because the devil is like a lion roaming about seeking someone to devour. And he's not waiting for me to enter a big venue to do it. If he can do it in the privacy of my own living room with just the way I treat my mate, that's good enough for him. He's just looking to catch me. So our faith is going to be lived intentionally. We're going to do it with deliberate. We're going to have a really sense of purpose about it. And we're going to understand it's all on me. Preacher can stand here and tell you about the armor, but the preacher can't wear the armor for you. My granddad used to kid me. We were kids, back then. You either drank out of the garden hose or you ran into the house to the kitchen sink for a moment. We'd run into the house and get a drink, and he'd say, while you're in there, get a drink for me. Now, he didn't mean bring him a glass of water. He was just messing with us, and that's kind of fun. But you can't do that. Now, when it comes to the armor, nobody can put it on for you. So we're going to have truth and righteousness. That's Ephesians 6:14. We're going to break those two down. First, we want to stand firm. Therefore, having girded your loins with truth. We've got to have the truth. You should know the truth. The truth sets you free. I've got that up here in just a moment. But it's all about getting back to the truth. Psalms 119, 105, thy word is a lamp unto my feet, a light unto my path. We're back to the word, which incidentally I really love because it takes other people out of the equation. Now you can say to the preacher or to Mark or to Chris or anybody else you want, what do you think about this verse right here? And they can share an opinion with you, and that's fine. That's what we do when we teach. But ultimately, it's between you and the Word. And if you'll read that Word day after day after day after day, I'm totally confident you'll understand it. I know there's a couple of things in Revelation we're not going to understand till we get to heaven. And I don't think you're going to be asking that many questions when you get to heaven either. But we're back to the Word. 2 Thessalonians 2:15. Stand fast. Hold firm the traditions which you were taught. That's going all the way back to the first century. That's pretty good. That's getting anchored in the truth. Not later theological ideas, not modernism, but the original teaching. And then Amos 3:3, can two walk together unless they're agreed? I want to walk with God. That means I have to get back to the truth. He has revealed His will through His Word, and I have to get into it. So I want an anchor. Because if I don't have that anchor and don't have that solidity under my feet, then I'm going to struggle. Now the fact is, I'm going to struggle anyway. Life is going to be hard, whether you're good or bad. It's tough. I just want the advantage in my struggle. So it's kind of like I'm going to grow old, whether I like it or not. Now you got the choice. You either grow old or you die young. So let's hope we grow old. Well, I want the advantage when I grow old, which means I got to take care of my body. Well, Archer would say it's too late for me to take care of my body young now. That might be more of Madeline's snarkyism with me, But hey, that's okay. You plan for it. You plan ahead because you get ready, and that way the struggles are easier to manage. Hebrews 2:1. We have to give that more earnest heed lest we drift away. That's what this is about. We're trying to get anchored in righteousness. There's your John 8:32. You'll know the truth will make you free. And in Proverbs 28:26, he who trusts in his own heart is a fool. Don't want to be that. Incidentally, nothing brand new up there. Is it he who trusts in his own heart is a fool? We have this inclination to think, our times are the worst times ever. No, they're not. Our times are bad. I'll agree with that. But I think perhaps Noah would have told you there were some pretty hard times back in his day, right? Ephesians 6:14, we want the breastplate of righteousness. Now let me go over here to Proverbs 3:5. Some of us can quote this. This is a popular verse. Proverbs 3:5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. Of course, you got to tag 6 on there. In all your ways acknowledge Him and He will make your path straight. Do not be wise in your own eyes, it goes on to say in verse 7. And so what we want to do is we want to keep the subtle lies of Satan out of our life. We don't want him getting them in there. And the way he does it, this is old school preaching now, and we have done it since I know the 1970s, and it used to be the villain was the TV. And the analogy that we used to give is if you had somebody come over to your house and start cursing and saying vulgar things in front of your children, you'd kick them out of the house, and rightly so. And you'd say, okay, kids, now that we got old so-and-so out here, let's turn on the TV. Now, what did the TV spew into your living room? The same stuff, right? Well, now it's not just the TV. Now it's devices everywhere. And you know me, I'm not against your devices. I like my devices. I am saying, though, that you've got to be careful what you watch on your devices. And if you're a parent, you need parental controls on your devices so you can watch what your kids are watching, because there is garbage and nonsense and psychobabble on the internet, TikTok psychologists and Instagram psychologists that are nothing but the devil's advocates trying to destroy the home and family relationships, because Satan's strategy is divide and conquer. And you got kids out here listening to 16-year-old influencers who have 30 million followers and go, well, they must know something. They got 14 million views on that video. They don't know anything. They're just plugging into a popular hurt and spewing some nonsense. Watch it. You need the Bible as your basis. You need that understanding so you can filter stuff through it. So choose wisely, and then you can reduce your vulnerability, which is exactly what I want to do. I think that's what most of us want to do. I want to minimize internal conflicts by keeping nonsense out of my head. Now, Matthew 6:24 is where he says you can't serve two masters at once. You'll love one or hate the other, so on and so forth. And so you real one consistent idea in your head. I want to walk with Jesus. I want to be the best Christian I can be. To put it in the karate vernacular, I want to be a black belt Christian. I don't want to be a yellow belt Christian. I want to be a black belt Christian. I want to get up there and really walk the walk, carry my cross, and do the things Christians ought to be doing. And that way, if I keep all the nonsense out, I can focus on what's good. And that's really what I want to do. 2 Corinthians 10:5 would tell us to take every thought captive through the obedience of Christ. Now, one of the other challenges we're up to here with Guarding Our Heart is people are normalizing sin. We used to call homosexuality. We just put it right out there. It didn't matter what church in the community you were in. They said homosexuality is a sin and homosexuals are not going to heaven. That was the end of the story. The 1960s were wonderful in that way. You could say the truth without people going, well, he's homophobic, or he's not politically correct, or whatever it is now. And then they went off to alternate lifestyles. And now it's just your partner. Boy, that's fake. Your partner could be a scriptural marriage or anything else, right? And if you don't line up and get on board with it and just pretend that everybody's okay, what we've done is we've normalized sin. Done the same thing with weed. Normalized getting high. Normalized drinking. Bless their heart. It's just a disease. They can't help it. So on and so forth. There's just a lot of normalizing. We've got to be careful with that, because we're inclined to do it too. So I want to choose a life that strengthens us rather than corrodes us. I want a life where when I'm getting toward the end, I don't have to call some spiritual advisor, an elder, a deacon, or somebody I trust and go, I'm not sure I'm going to make it. I just really wonder if, I don't want to lay there in my bed at the end doubting which way I'm getting ready to go when I go. I want to lay there at the end like Paul did. And he says, I have fought the fight. I have finished the race. There is a crown laid up for me in heaven. How are you going to do that? You're going to put on the armor. You're going to put on the armor of God. You're going to wear it daily. You're going to get you a pajama set of the armor of God. You're going to have it with you 24/7. You're going to have solid footing. You're going to have your feet shod. Because what you need is a good solid footing. If you don't have solid footing, it's rough to navigate. How many of you felt really good walking on the ice during the ice storm? No, me either. We lack solid footing. If you really want to test yourself, get on a wobble board. I got one. I'll share it with you. Wobble board does exactly what it says. It wobbles. Not too bad if you got somebody to hang on to. Let go and do it on your own, you find out you're not as secure as you thought. You need some solid footing. So you're going to do that, and this is going to give you your confidence in God, because that's what solid footing does. It helps you carry your load, and if you don't have it, you're going to struggle. Again, that's why so many people are struggling today. We used to live in a time where, I don't know, 70% of people went to some kind of church. They had a church family. They had a church community. They had a social connection they were connected to. Now we live in a time, I don't know if 30% of people have a connection in church. Of any kind I'm talking about. And they're just out there on their own. And they don't have that solid footing. And without that solid footing and that community and some support, life's hard. So if you have solid footing, then you can move deliberately, and you know where you're going. So ultimately your choice is between peace and anxiety. Okay, everybody wants peace. So they say. But when you show them the way of peace that passes understanding, they go, no, I don't want that peace. I want peace. How about you? And if Jesus said this is the way of peace, I'm going to give it a try. Because I've seen people try the other way. I won't go into family stories, but I've got extended family where they thought the way of peace was spelled with Budweiser. I've watched from a distance. That is not the way of peace. I've had co-workers that thought the way of peace was divorce. I've seen them married and divorced 6 times. And that wasn't peace. Like, I don't know what to say. I want peace. There's one path of peace, if you ask me. So good footing is going to help us carry our responsibilities, and this is an everyday thing. We do it day after day after day. Then we got to verse 18. He told us to pray in the Spirit. Prayer helps us stay alert and connected. If you're praying, and you're praying, I should say the right things, because it's possible to pray in the wrong direction, but that's focusing your attention. And your energy goes where your attention is focused. Simple analogy. Police officers used to say anyway, if they're working a wreck and somebody's rubbernecking and looking at the wreck the whole time instead of focusing on where they're going, they may be working another wreck in just a few seconds, because your energy flows where your attention is focused. And if it's over here way to the left, you may be driving too far the other direction, right? So prayer is a good focusing thing. It helps remind me I'm not self-sufficient. I need God. I need somebody greater than me in my life. And it's got to be constant and persistent. This can't be just at dinner. I think prayer around the table and at dinner is great. Now, my opinion, I think it ought to be short at dinner time. I won't rehash that. But prayer, everywhere you can weave it in. 1 Thessalonians 5:17, he said, pray always. Pray. That's what you need to be doing. It sharpens your discernment. Look, if you're thinking about how to please God, and you're praying about those things, your brain's going to work for you. And it's going to help you discern those things. It's going to help you follow Jesus' example. We could have done many verses here, but he'd get up early and he'd go out and pray. On rare occasion, he'd pray all night long. So prayer is how we fight together with God. It's how we refuse to fight alone. We'll conclude. God gave us everything we need. You could also get that from 2 Timothy 3:16 and 17. That armor's a gift. It's a crazy, wonderful, priceless gift. I don't think people appreciate that part of it enough. It's odd that a lot of folks refuse that gift. I want help, I want power, I want ability, I want the advantage. Oh, but I don't want that. That's kind of nuts, isn't it? If it works to make my life better, then I want it. And it's certainly not just for emergencies. Don't fall for that. Keep it in your daily life. Put it on. Get up every morning and put it on, just like you brush your teeth every morning, and live a life that is protected in Christ. Last slide, of course. The armor is about living well, fully clothed in the strength of the Lord. That all begins with us putting Christ on in baptism, of course. And I'm going to close with that thought. If you put Christ on in baptism, then the next thing you need to do is get up every morning and put your armor on. Put it on so much you just eat, sleep, and drink. It's there all the time. And that'll give you the best advantage you can have. If you're lacking that advantage and we can help you in some way, let us do so while together we stand.